right up my alley.
Yeah, so that event will definitely sell out if it's like, the last two we had. We have 4 people, I think, signed up right now. We only can take about 18 spots. It's Friday, July 27th at the Botanique from 7 to 10. So
Okay.
we're really excited about that. Well, let's go ahead and get started because I want to keep us 100% on time. That's a learning curve for me from last time. Folks can jump on as they may, no big deal. And also, I told you that we're recording it. And so I just wanted to let you all know you are being recorded. I'm not sending it out to anyone other than our group, but I did want to let you know. I just wanted that to be available for folks that weren't able to listen in. So welcome. Thank you all so much. We'll be going until 7:30. I have the Zoom call till 8. So if we're really jazzed and anyone wants to stay on and continue to talk to me or Carlin, they can. But otherwise, let's honor our time and be done at 7:30. Feel free to do you in the meantime. I know it's hot and we all have lives, so no problem if you need to jump on or off. I thought that we could do brief intros. I wanted to first just welcome Carlin. Carlin and I met, so I was trying to find sponsors and speakers and attendees and rushing in 11 weeks to pull this retreat together. And I had seen a lot about Be Hippie and about Strangers to Friends. I was looking for different meetups that I could join and things to get connected to the community. And I saw this big Strangers to Friends group, and it sounded really awesome. So I reached out to her, and she ended up coming up to Fort Collins from Denver, which is so incredible, being that we'd never met before. And we chatted for like 2 hours, and I was exhausted, and she just was hearing my story and my struggle, and we had some similarities. I'll let Carlin, she's such a better storyteller than I am, but we became sort of, strangers to friends, and she's been an incredible force since, I think it was January maybe that we had met up.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah, because my retreat was January 21st. So
oh, you're right, it was January.
Yeah. And you're going to hear it. Carlin is a powerhouse communicator, and no exaggeration. I'm just going to click over here just to read something real quickly, but then I'll let her tell you a little bit more about herself. But I just love how this is written. So she's an inspirational storyteller and writer, intuitive connector, amen, and the founder of Strangers to Friends, which if you look that up, that's no joke. She empowers people to see setbacks as stepping stones, let go of limiting labels, and use fear as fuel. So I don't know what that is. Is that alliteration? What do you just do there? You're very good with words. There's a term for, I was just looking at that, you're using the same letters a couple of times.
Yeah.
But Carlin's had an incredible story. She was diagnosed and healed herself from MS. She's had 2 very close friends pass away and learned, what can happen with that struggle. So we're really grateful for your time. She is a speaker. She will be writing a book. She is a coach. She is just a wonderful female extraordinaire. So thank you. So Carlin, if you want to quickly tell us a little bit more about you, and then I thought what we do is just very quick intros. I did tell her a little bit about you, but just for her to hear it directly from you, who you are, your company, and then we'll do the success and failure super quick, and then we'll get started. Does that sound good? And can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm also working on my speed of talking and the way I do all this stuff. So you might see me adjust or act a little funny. Thank you for your patience. It's just me trying to learn from being on camera. But anyways, Carlin, please.
Well, thank you, my dear. And thank you guys all for showing up and playing in this space. So, I mean, you did a really good job summarizing me. I like to say that on the coaching spectrum of things, my favorite thing to do is give people permission to give themselves permission. So I really love exploring the space of what are we not doing versus what we could be doing, and this idea of the unknown. I love uncertainty. So this is where I like to thrive, and this is where I love to help others feel safe. And it's a lot of what I do is just based off my own life journey, because it's been a lot of, you can't control what happens to you. You control how you respond to it. And so I use a lot of my life lessons, and that's really what births Strangers to Friends, is this knowing on a spiritual space that we're all connected, but in a more tangible way, we're all connected through our stories. And when we can understand versus empathize and support versus sympathize and really connect with each other and not feel alone, then we just grow exponentially. And so that's the intention, is how do we make it cool again to really support each other and be community. So I love creating ways to get people out of their comfort zone and connect.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much. We're so excited to have you. So, we're going to really take this where we want to, especially given the few folks that we have. We can make it really targeted to something specific in your life or what's going on this week or what you want to get out of the mastermind. Oh, we have a new kitty here that we're all very excited about.
Everything better. This is Penelope.
Yeah. I love that. I'm so jealous.
Sorry, I can't lock her away. She just has to be.
Yeah. So quickly, like we did last week, a success, a failure, and then I want to add on to this, either one thing that's come up this week, or one thing that you want to work on in the mastermind, and then what may be holding you back from that, because the overall thought of this call can be about really addressing fear, and how we can turn faith, rather than fear, and all kinds of tips and tricks about our mindset. And Carlin, just honest, she can tell it a lot better than I can, but I'm really excited because I think a lot of us were talking about that, insecurity, or how do we manage it all, or we're exhausted, we're not trusting ourselves, right? So she's got lots of motivational tips for whatever comes up. But this one in particular could be around fear, if that still resonates with you. If it doesn't, we'll change the direction. So Sarah, why don't we start with you, and then we'll go to Anne, and then we'll go to Melissa. It's how I see you on my screen, for your intro.
Okay. So I'm Sarah Bates. I'm an acupuncturist here in Fort Collins, and still fairly new to town, I guess. I don't know, about a year and a half in. I started just a small private practice in town, and I work specifically with women's health conditions, fertility through menopause, and kind of all hormone balance in between. I guess it's been a short week for me because I start on Tuesdays. So my schedule, I see patients Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and I feel like we had a trip this weekend and got back late Monday night, and I hopped to it on Tuesday, and then today I don't see patients. So I feel like it's just been a couple days. So I would say a success this week is that I saw a patient yesterday who is who's a doctor, very science-minded, and I really love when I get the chance to work with people who are science-minded, because Chinese medicine can get so woo-woo, and I can talk about the yin and the yang and the qi and all this stuff, but I really felt good about the way I was able to communicate with her at her level, and so that felt good, and she rescheduled, so that was a success. As far as failure, let's see. I know there's something. There's always something.
Have to be.
Yeah, and remember we use that word as like, what did I learn? So it could be something new that you learned, or you tried something and it didn't work. It doesn't, remember, we're trying to embrace that word as a good thing, right? If we're not failing, we're not growing, we're not challenging ourselves, like, what's the point?
Yeah, sure. Okay, well, I would say one thing that I haven't done this week that I'm usually trying to do, I feel like the last few weeks my patient load has increased, which has been really great, and I've been feeling busy, but I haven't been continuing to make that effort to individually reach out to people in the community that I want to connect with, and I still want to create relationships with and try to create good referral sources with, and so that would probably be a failure, because as things have gotten a little busier, I have kind of slacked off on that aspect of my connection and networking, which is still important. So, yeah.
So learning how to prioritize when you have so much going on and what really matters. But another thing on that point too is sometimes, and these are the shoulds versus like we should eliminate should from our vocabulary, but that may be something, is that the best use of your time, right? Maybe it's not, maybe there's something else. So I always, if something is always rolling over week after week, or you're saving it for last, sometimes I would say to look at why, maybe determine if that is the best use of your time to engage them. Maybe it is, and whoops, you just missed it. But
very good.
Yeah, cool. And then, yeah, I don't know if there's something you want to also add at this point, or just as Carlin begins to talk, but is there one thing you were really hoping to get out of the mastermind, or one thing really holding you back from success that she can kind of weave into her talk about fear,
Yeah.
kind of thing?
So this is like a big arching subject for me lately. My husband and I are at the point where we're not sure if we're going to have kids, if we want to or not want to. And I feel like that totally changes my business plan.
Yes.
And I kind of resent that as a woman, I feel like that has to change my business plan. But yeah, there's a little bit of I'm having some uncertainty about exactly where I want to take my practice and how I see it growing, based on whether or not we decide we want to have kids, because I know that having that in my life may change everything else that I want to do. And it just feels like, I know a lot of women probably come up against this at this point in their lives. I don't know, but I am definitely kind of feeling like, okay, should I stick with this plan that I thought I knew I wanted, or should I wait and see where we are before I pursue it too much? Because what if I change my mind and I don't want to work as much as I think I need to or would like to otherwise? So yeah,
I already have stuff I just want to say.
Yeah.
I'll wait.
I know, I'm like, one word, lean in, like figure out the path when you get there. But no, I mean, we all struggle with that. I too.
Well, I mean, yeah, how do we just want to chime in on all this later?
No, go right ahead. You can chime in on that, because it's such a fascinating topic. So
right. I mean, I'm a woman that isn't sure if I am going to have kids yet or not either. And it obviously I'm not even married yet. So like there's all these factors, right?
Right.
But there's a lot that has to happen.
Preach. Exactly.
What I find so amazing is, you have let's say you do decide, like, first of all, it's you making the decision whether you want to have children. Take out the business, because
right,
you're obviously inevitably gonna
sure
and change, right? So once you're comfortable with your decision, then it is just trusting that the universe does not show up to fuck you when you make your decision from your heart. The universe shows up to support you because you are following your heart. You're not here to. So I think that when we are given lessons and when things are become more of a struggle, sometimes are the times when we're forcing versus allowing. And if you are allowing yourself to become a mother, it is going to become fluid into your business. It is not, your business will form around it. I have so many friends that I am just so in awe of at the way motherhood enhanced them and enhanced their business in ways they could never have predicted. Like a friend of mine just wrote a book for REI because she ended up starting a group called Hike It Baby and is now a global group. And at 41 years old, she had her first child, and she never even envisioned this as even a thing, you know? But
right.
the child inspired it. So you could end up having a child and be having this idea of the birthing process that you're going to learn in a whole new capacity, and the idea of working with children is going to speak to you potentially in a whole new capacity, that your business could end up becoming more niche in ways that you might not even know because of your passion through your experience. So I would say whatever you choose is the right choice. And then just trusting that and just being open to how that then flows into, I think it's hard to plan. You have no way of knowing.
Right.
It's hard to, if you are someone that needs to have that plan and have it figured out, this is an opportunity for you to practice just surrendering and trust.
Yeah.
Melissa, as a mom, is there anything that you want to chime in here on? Because, you know, I can't add it. I'm struggling with the same decision, but I can't add anything. So I don't know how your business might have changed or if you have any thoughts. Don't mean to put you on the spot. Don't worry if you don't.
No, it's okay. I could speak for days. So I totally agree with what you were just saying, that it does definitely stretch you in ways that you never imagined, that can put your life on a trajectory that you never thought. But I also agree that you have to make the decision from your heart, and then your life will flow around it. And that's, you know, your heart and your husband's heart too, obviously. But yeah, it stretches you in ways you never thought you would ever be stretched. It'll stretch you in ways that your business will never stretch you. But it's all, I'm a huge planner. So the unpredictability of parenthood really stretched me and changed me. But it's all about seasons. There's different seasons in parenthood. And it's not like your business is going to be on the back burner forever. It might be on the back burner for, a year while your child is still nursing, or it might be on the back burner for 5 years like mine was until actually 9 years until my youngest child has just gone into kindergarten. And so it's all about seasons. And so that's my takeaway, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An opportunity to chime in. Or Sarah, looks like you wanted to respond. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely good. It's good perspective to have, and I definitely am a planner. I don't mean to insinuate that like pursuing a business would keep me from having kids. It's not one or the other for us.
Yeah.
It's just we don't know if we want to, and if we do, I foresee the way that I like the energy that I put into business. I foresee like not wanting to put that much energy into it because I have something else incredible at home that I want to put more energy into, which is a child potentially. So I think that's where I run into this like stop and start kind of thing where I'm like thinking that what if that maybe my idea of what I want is going to change drastically if we have kids. That's kind of where I am.
And I would ask you to think of another time in your life, like look for another time in your life where it felt risky or it felt unpredictable, and you just had to take a leap of faith and see how that worked out for you. Mm-hmm. And were there aspects that came out like far better than you could have even imagined? Right. Or did you run into challenges that were also then easily you could handle them, but they were challenges that you foresaw because we don't have crystal balls, So, right. Even if you ask a psychic and she tells you, there's a thing called free will. So literally there is no such way to predict the way it all plays out. It is just knowing that you're going to be supported, and your husband will support you.
Right.
Carlin, I like that advice. The only thing I would sort of add, because I do the same thing. Holy crap. I've got the list, the pros, the cons. How do I feel about it? You're afraid of the unknown. And the point there is that it's the unknown. And it won't be known until it happens. Mm-hmm. And so just try, if you have a gut feeling that you do or don't, take the leap. It will figure it out, because you may be so inspired by your kids that you want to do even more with your business, or you may be so inspired by your kids that you don't. But whatever happens, as Carlin said, it's going to be the truth for you. Right. So forget what's going to happen, because quite frankly, Lord knows, like there are so many things that could happen that you're not even thinking of when you're trying to weigh this decision, because you're not in the moment. So it's just like sitting in a rocking chair worrying for no. Right? So I kind of feel like just make that decision, and then the current problems or solutions will make themselves available to you.
And I'm just going to say one last thing on this. It's all easier said than done. We can tell you trust it and do it all day long, right? But we're not in your body. We're not you. Get pregnant and then see what happens.
Or not.
Maybe.
Or not. I'm right there with you. Like, right. My fear is like, I'm spending so much time right now. So like I'm surprised my poor boyfriend came in and gave me a kiss. I feel like he hates me right now. I'm not putting any effort into any part of my life other than work right now. I'm trying to build my business. And now I'm worried that I'm not attending to other parts of my life. And so, I don't know. I get, and that whole point, right, of, well, if I don't nurture this relationship, then I'm never going to get married and I'm never going to have kids. And so, it's exhausting. And of course, if we knew the answer, we would tell you, but that is such a personal thing. But it's just more about how to think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anne, anything that you'd like to chime in on that particular thing? Otherwise, we'll go to you for success, failure, etc.
Sure. Well, Sarah, there's like one, there's a lot I could say, but the one thing I want to say that I witness you in is that you're very much in your head in this process right now.
Always.
And until you get in your body more and really tap into what your heart's desire is, no matter how scary that is, and allow yourself to be open to receiving whatever it is, you really need to be in that receiving mode.
Yeah.
You're going to struggle with everything you've already shared with us.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and there's support and things, you know, that can help you to go through that process, because doing it by yourself is one of the hardest things to do, to figure out, like, what do I truly desire in my heart that I want right now? It can change in 6 months, it could change in a year, but right now, and you have to get clear separate from your husband, and he's got to get clear separate from you on what you guys want individually, and then you have to come together and discuss it and see where you guys meet on it, because you could be on a different page than he's on, but you guys got to have that honesty with yourself first and then bring that to the table with each other. But it's all about receiving versus what am I going to be giving up, what am I going to be letting go. So keep that in mind, that it's all about being open to what am I going to receive in all of this. And that helps take such a weight off of things.
That's really good advice, Anne.
I always say the universe, I mean, this is what I've been saying forever. The universe only meets me halfway. The universe doesn't hand it to me. You know, like, it's not going to say, here's what it is, come and get it. It's, you do your part and the magic is waiting for you in ways you can never imagine.
Yeah. And I resonated with that. I mean, she and I think part of the problem is struggling from being in my head. I mean, everybody I talk to keeps telling me the same thing. You're in your head, you're in your head, you're in your head, you know, and whether it's breathe or whatever the advice is, it's all the same problem. And so trusting your gut, and I know you're going to talk a lot about our energies and our presence, and so that will be super helpful to connect with that as well. But I agree, for sure.
And head just means logical, analytical mind, which is designed to keep you safe. It doesn't mean inhabiting your head space. It's that bubble where your thoughts are going a mile a minute.
Right, exactly. So Anne, let's go to you now. A quick intro, and then success, failure, and a fear that you have, or a goal for the mastermind, and how it's inhibiting you.
Yeah, absolutely. So hi, Carlin. I'm Anne Rao. I do a lot of different things, which is one of my biggest problems. But the main thing that I want to work on and that I'm moving into is I'm a certified teacher in art of feminine presence. So I teach classes, I do workshops, retreats, and coaching, all based on that body of work that teaches, where I teach practices that get tangible results. They're physical and energetic practices, but the process itself can be very superficial or can be very deep. But it's all about helping women and men in many different ways to improve things in their lives. So that's the main bulk of my focus right now. I also do social media and photography and all kinds of other stuff. But that's kind of where I'm at right now.
It sounds like I want to know more.
All kinds of stuff.
Carlin, actually, hold on one second, Anne. Yeah. Carlin, remember how we were all on a phone call
together? That's what I was just wondering.
Yes. She so Sarah and Melissa on the call here. Carlin helped execute a conversation when we were prepping for the F Word event March 8th about feminism, and Anne was a speaker. So I totally forgot about that. See, this is
like I've heard this before.
Connections.
Connections.
Yeah, so Carlin and Carlin, that's perfect. Okay. Yeah, so success, failure, etc.
So let's see. So a success, I decided to do something really silly and outside my comfort zone. And because I need that quick way to get a little bit of extra cash coming in right now, I signed up to do delivery driving for DoorDash, which is hilarious. So that's been interesting this week, doing that, learning that, getting out, meeting people. And it's been nice because it's like that, it's a break from all the mental. I can just get in the car and I can drive and I can get people their food and they're
By the
happy,
way,
they're smiling, and it's great.
this kitten, I just want you guys to know, when you talk with your hands, this kitten is like staring at the screen and she's playing with your hands on the screen. I wish you could see what I was witnessing. She's playing with you, just so you know.
So cute, so cute. Yeah, so I did that silly thing outside my comfort zone. And failure, procrastination. That is my massive failure this week. Is I keep letting things get in the way from getting to the things that I know I need to get done. That would be great.
Cat's like, oh my God, me too.
Yeah.
Hard question for you, Anne. Did you write down these goals? Did you have a plan? This was my to-do list and I didn't do it? Or was it in your head, I really should, or I really need, and then it didn't happen?
Oh no, it's written down and it's calendared.
Okay. But because that's good. That's good. I was just curious what the breakdown was.
Well, the breakdown is that I allow myself to be easily distracted because I have so much other crap going on in other areas of my life outside of business and work, that it's all very daunting. So there's the distractions get me the mental or emotional disconnect that I need versus just continuing to push through all the time.
So Sarah or Melissa, do you have, I'm trying to make this more of a, so typical mastermind is really everyone in the group. Of course, I'm the facilitator and we'll have speakers, and I assure you, Carlin will be, giving a nice little talk, but it's really about you all being able to share each other's perspectives and help one another and to be able to develop those relationships. So Sarah or Melissa, is there anything that either you're experiencing that too, you have any tips? Otherwise, we'll let Carlin chime in.
Well, this is Melissa. I can totally relate as I'm working on growing my business, but I tend to procrastinate a lot just because I'm, afraid of stepping out there and doing something really scary. So I do that as well. So I don't know if I necessarily have any advice other than.
Well, that's interesting because that's procrastination through fear, which is what we're talking about, right? So you don't want to do it because, it feels too big, or I'm not really sure how it will be received, versus, and it's like, holy crap, I have these 20 different, balls in the air, and how do I, manage them all?
There's also the fear involved in the procrastination too.
And I am a self-proclaimed procrastinator myself.
Everybody is.
Our person, it comes down to our personalities. I mean, some of us are procrastinators, some of us are planners. It's not right or wrong. It's just who we are, right? So it's learning. I think for me, a lot of it comes down to boundaries, and prioritizing. So I can allow myself to get really caught up in helping this person and doing this and scratching this off the list, and there's all these things, but sometimes none of it gets done completely because I'm so busy doing this and this and this and this and this. So I have to go, okay, what is most important right now? And then it's kind of going, it doesn't mean these things aren't important, but this just needs to get done first. And honey, I think when it comes to people like you and I, where procrastination does become a thing, it is having accountability buddies. I mean, there is, if you're like me, then there's I like the tangible, I like it being not just about me being responsible for me. I'm okay going, I need help with this, So sometimes it's asking for help going, I really want to get this off my plate. How do I do it? And that being okay. And I think that's what masterminds are for, in a way. How do we set goal? You're here for 10 weeks together. How do we set a goal? What do you want to accomplish? How can we support each other? Because we all have different, we all excel in different ways. But we're all, in my belief, everyone that shows up, especially in something like this, is here for a reason. Mm-hmm. So we can utilize it.
I would say one other thing too. one of the things that I go through when I'm having like a million things to do and I feel like I can't get there is that sometimes I will try and like work every day of the week, or I'll pick up a couple hours on the weekend, or I'll do this or I'll do that. And I never take a full break to decompress and let it leave my mind for a minute. And so if that's like 10 minutes of meditation in the morning, or taking a walk in the afternoon, or even just like reserving an entire day to not have to look on the internet at your email. Like, don't look at your email all day long. That's hard, you know? Or whatever it is, to actually give yourself enough of a break so that when you do come back, you can be focused and you have more energy to put in it because you've actually had a minute to step away from it. I find that helpful for myself.
Yeah. And did you have a partner that you matched with in the last mastermind that's holding you accountable? Or if not, no? Okay. I didn't know.
In fact, I think there was a few of us that didn't get.
Okay.
Because we kind of rushed through that.
Yeah. So let's, so I'll follow up with everyone about that. I know I had, I can, bring it back up again. I had offered also for folks to have an individual plan. Only one person reached out that they wanted it, so that's helpful. Of course, I'm the default to hold you accountable, but we all can, and it can be a weekly partner, or it can be someone that's with you the whole time. But accountability, absolutely, and that's part of a mastermind. That's why many people hire coaches. It's not that they don't know what it is; they just want someone to hold them accountable. So let's.
Yeah, and I have you on my list to do the plan, and I was gonna post in the group this week about just the group that I was in, the group of 4 when we did our breakouts. We never got like around to everybody's goals or.
Perfect. Yeah, so maybe you could initiate that and then I can help follow up. But yeah, that's great. Keep that conversation going. We're going to do different groups and we can play, switch around with the formats, but we certainly want to make sure everyone. Sarah, do you have someone that?
Yes.
Okay.
But I'm happy to do with more than one person. So if you, and if you're interested and if you want me to check in on with you, I would love to. So
let's just do that. We're doing that. I'm like clicking the two of you together on the. Let's just make it happen. Of course, I'm also there as well. Melissa, I know you and I are chatting. I think I had emailed you asking to follow up as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So Anne, was there, I know you had said procrastination, was there one thing that you were really hoping to work on with the mastermind, or anything else that you want Carlin to have in the back of her mind before she talks soon?
Well, the one thing I really want to work on is getting stuff going with the AFP stuff again. So, starting to set up that first retreat, doing the networking and getting the information out there for that retreat, but also to lead up to that retreat, there has to be the classes and the workshops. And so it's basically, the process. It needs to just happen.
It's just about making one, it's like not looking at it at the elephant, but making one decision that leads to the next decision that leads to the next decision.
Totally. Okay, Melissa, success, who you are, success, failure, one thing from the mastermind.
Okay, so I'm Melissa. I founded Avanti Creative Group about 14 years ago, and I help women in service businesses, professional services mainly, realtors, mortgage brokers, increase their leads and opportunities and grow their personal brands using digital marketing. And I am in a transition period in my business for the last, I think I touched on it a little bit when we were talking about kids. For the last 9 years, my business has kind of been a job. I've been sustaining it and whatever, but I had little kids at home and my husband travels all the time. So I've kind of been the one and only at home. And my son just entered kindergarten this last year. And so last fall, I just decided I really wanted to pour more energy and effort into growing my business and scaling my business. And so that's where I'm at this point. And I'm in doing a lot of consulting one-on-one and a lot of writing, business writing for corporations. And I want to be able to scale it so that it's more of a teaching and training and coaching model. So that's what I'm working on now. And so success this week, I'm putting together an offering. And so one of the things I'm doing is interviewing a lot of my ideal clients to get their opinions on what they need and what kind of offering I can create that would be really valuable to them. And so I was able to interview 2 ladies this week, which was really exciting, and had really great conversations with both of them. So that was a good success in helping me focus in on what I'm doing. So a fail, I think, is just getting it all done. I feel like I've been failing at that. My kids are out of school and they were not in a camp this week, so I had them at home. So I was trying to get my work done and, do these things to grow my business and entertain them and take them to swim lessons and whatever else is going on. So it was a lot of stopping and starting, and I just don't quite have the flow of the new schedule down yet, and so kind of a fail. But I'm going on vacation next week, so I'm just looking forward to that break that Sarah was talking about, of just unplugging for a week and having some downtime. So
Where are you going?
We are going to Lake Havasu in Arizona, where it's going to be 120 degrees probably. But my in-laws live there, and so my husband, his brothers and their wives and kids will all be there. So we're kind of having a little mini family reunion. But then I wanted to just also add of what I'm looking for out of this mastermind. What I'm most excited about is just the accountability piece that we've already mentioned, and also just camaraderie with women. I've been a writer, like I said, primarily for the last 9 years, and just been sitting behind my computer. So coming out from behind the screen and actually meeting real people has been so exciting for me.
Okay.
So that's what I'm loving. Yeah.
Perfect. So Carlin, I know a lot of the reason why we did all this was that you would have so many nuggets of information based on folks' fears and what they're trying to get out of it and their business. So I'll turn it over to you. I know it's endless what you could talk about, but we're excited to hear from you.
Well, yeah, and I think like my favorite thing is the way we're doing this right now, where it's like we're all kind of feeding off of each other, and we're all going to learn from each other. And we've got one topic of trusting in the uncertainty. Then we've got this fear around just moving through and making decisions, and that are going to lead to the whole. But then, what was the fear just now for the? You're building your business. So where is there a place where you feel stuck in it? No.
Melissa, are you there? I think she's speaking to you.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry.
Sorry. So I just wanted to make sure I understood, like, if they're in the area of growth with your business, is it just really like scaling your business and getting out there to grow it on a greater level?
Yeah, and doing things and offering products and services that I've never done before. So I've always been selling kind of one-to-one with my clients, and I'm much better one-to-one than that's kind of my comfort zone, and that's the way I've been working in my business for the last 14 years. So getting out there in person and with larger groups and so forth, and offering a product that I've never done before. So does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. And I was just telling Sarah before we all got on the call, so Strangers to Friends, I actually have a meetup in Fort Collins as well. I haven't been back there to have an event in a while, but there's like 600 or 700 people in the meetup. So, and the first time I had one, just so you guys know, I had the biggest RSVP list of any event I've ever had to this day, with my one event in Fort Collins. Like, 80 RSVPs and like 25 showed up on my first event. So there is a lot of community out there for you to connect with and engage with. And I am going to prioritize that for myself to come back and offer it just so we can all meet and you guys can tap in, because the way I structure my events is not leading with what we do as a business. It's leading with us as people, because I think that a lot of our fear sometimes we get locked into who are we, defined by what we do. And we sometimes forget that there is so much possibility in just meeting people in this unassuming way, and where it can lead, or the idea that can be offered, or the connection that can be offered. Sorry, this cat. And for all of you, there's like a plethora of just new experiences and new people in your own community that are going to lead you to plug into to any area that you might be stuck with. But I think when it comes to fear, my journey with, I've become one of these people that it's a love-hate relationship, because I'm so in tune of the signs that my body gives me. Like, do you guys get anxiety? Do you get, I'll just use anxiety as an example. Like, when I feel anxiety, I hate the feeling of anxiety, but all it's doing is telling me I need to do something. Like, let's be honest, it's actually not showing up to punish me or you. It's actually showing up as a sign that something needs to be done, and the anxiety will go. For me, at least, the anxiety goes away when it's done. And I can use my meetup as an example. Like, I'm out here connecting all the time. I'm moving across the country, not even without a job. I'm running marathons. I'm doing all these things. And none of that caused the anxiety in me as it did to create my Strangers to Friends meetup. And the reason was my ego and my fear. This was me exposing my thoughts, my passion, my exposing myself in a way that other people could then judge on, and they could whether or not they signed up for it was going to determine the value of what it was that I was creating. Whereas like a marathon, there's not the same fear. I mean, there's the fear of the mileage and could I get injured, and like there's tangible things, but it wasn't somebody that could steer me away and go, oh, you're crazy to run a marathon. I'd be like, well, here I go, you know. But with creating your passion, whether it's birthing your retreat, whether it is this fear of how will people judge my business if I bring a child into it, and will they accommodate with that, versus will people want to work with me on a group level because I've only offered this from a space of one-on-one. If you're feeling anxiety around any of it, it's just because your body's saying trust and move through it, and then you will be shown. Like, I literally had a full-blown panic attack. Like I've never experienced, hitting publish on a meetup. And like the world didn't explode. Like, nothing happened. And eventually like 1 or 2 people signed up, and I was like, oh my gosh, like 1 or 2 people signed up. But then, and it really is this trust journey. I mean, first there was like 50 people in my meetup, and I got so excited when 2 people came. And I was like, I did it. Like 2 people want what it is I am offering. And I could have died right there and been happy. Only now I have 3,700 people in my Denver meetup. And I am helping people on a whole other level than I even knew was going to even be a part of my meetup when I first started it back there, because I never imagined it growing to this. And I never imagined being able to teach in the way that I'm teaching and create this space for people. So it became this journey. So it's like making this decision to start your whatever decisions you think need to happen in order to get this retreat process started, or, you know, all these like things that need to happen. It's as cliche as it is, it's like, okay, we just need to do one thing and give ourselves permission to do this one thing. It doesn't mean 500 people are going to sign up right away, but no one's going to find you if you don't do the one thing. You know, like it had to start off with the 2 or 3 people finding me before the 500 could find me, before the 1,500 could find me, before the whatever. And so I think it goes back to, for me at least, a lot of my fear comes from perfectionism and feeling like it has to be done I have to get straight out the gate and it be perfect. I mean, that is typically, as women especially, that's what holds a lot of us back. And if I could give my younger self any advice, or even myself now, when I look at myself in the mirror, like the advice I have to give myself is get over yourself.
Get over yourself, seriously. Yeah.
And try, like, you know, it's
get out of your head. Get over
out
yourself.
of your head. Follow your heart. Like, your heart. I don't know if any of you guys heard of heart math. Anyone heard of heart math? Okay, Google heart math when we get off. There's proven science that the heart knows before the brain. I mean, there's science behind it. So when we are feeling something, that is our truth, you know? And if it's the feeling of, like, when fear shows up for me, I have to think, is it coming from here or is it coming from here? Because there's different fears. There is danger. There is the fear that you need to have as a firefighter. There is instinct. There is warning. There's things that our body is going to tell us to abort on because we're putting ourselves in danger. Then there's fear that can be like manipulated into this space of it's creating this idea that it's to protect us because we run this risk of being eaten by a lion. Only there really is no lion because we're making it up because it's coming from here. So I think when the fear shows up, it is, if we can sit with it a little bit and go, what am I actually scared of? And where is this scary feeling coming from? Is it something that's life-threatening, or is it something that's coming from ego? And when we can decide it is coming from ego, which a lot of times it does, that's when that's when you hire a coach to make sure you get through it, literally, or you just give yourself deadlines and you know you're capable of doing it for yourself.
So one of the things that you touched upon, and I just experienced it myself. So I was stuck in the navel gazing for so long, I was telling you all last year, and then I just decided, so that I love saying that. Tony Robbins talks about it a lot. You just decide. There isn't this one aha moment. It's that there's a moment where you've had enough, where you decide, I'm no longer doing this. I want to do something different. So I launched the retreat, and I figured it out along the way. And there were so many times that I was scared or unsure. I had to look things up. I, had a total panic attack or cried, but I just kept going. And luckily it was because it was such a short time frame, and I had like $5,000 on my credit card on the line that I had to do it. And right when I thought it was, all going to be over, I just pushed a little bit more, and then, the net appeared. And so, I just wanted to kind of share that again, and also to say that one of my old therapists or whatever used to say to me, like, take your greatest fear and break it down. So Sarah, like, okay, if I don't have kids, then what? And then what? And then what? And then what? And go to that end point, because the worst that could happen is probably not the worst that actually could happen. Mm. And so then you'll see, oh, well, I would have a plan because I've just then whatted the hell out of that. And I know what to do. And so, Carlin, I also wanted to just quickly ask you, I know you're, writing a book, and it's like Plan F. So can you just kind of touch a little bit more on about, like, we're going to have a plan, but like that shit just does not work. So
my working title is Plan F, or F the Plan.
Yeah.
And this comes from, I like to joke, I was born because my mom took medicine, was told to have sex right then, and then I was a C-section. So I was like as planned as a child could be coming into this world. And then as soon as I popped out, I joked that I took over, because my life has been a series of things. When people look at me and go, wow, you've done so much. Like, I wish I lived in Australia. And I go, had to be fired from my job. I wish I ran the Boston Marathon. Had to get diagnosed with MS. I wish I studied abroad in London in college. Both my best friends had to die. So, like, I always say, life shows up as a series of choices. And Plan F is this idea of Plan A is plan attachment. So Plan A is this idea that we have it figured out. So what happens when our Plan A, something goes unexpectedly with that? What do we do? Does it mean the plan failed? No, it means the plan shifted. So Plan F is this flow, right? Plan F can be your family, your friends, your forgiveness, you're figuring it out. It is the way it is morphed into being, but so much of it is plan faith. And that is the trusting.
Faith over fear.
It's like my journey with Plan F is literally this journey from fear to fearless, because my personal journey has been more one of speaking my truth and owning my voice and owning my power. I mean, if on another day we could talk about it, but I believe I manifested my MS that presented itself at a young age of 19 because I was so toxic to myself in my younger years that I didn't know it was all inside me. It was all consuming and no one on the outside knew, right? The happier I got, the healthier then I became. And then the more I started living my truth, oh my gosh, my journey just started taking off, you know, like in ways I couldn't have imagined. But at the end of the day, my life is a series of shit that most people would not want to go through.
Yeah. So let's stop you there for one quick second. Ladies, what specifically is it about fear? So is it a fear of not being enough? Is it a fear of the unknown and what will my life look like? It is a fear of what you're putting out there being accepted. What is the fear? Or is it not fear and it's just I don't have the time, I don't have the resources or whatever? Like how can we shift the next kind of last 10 minutes of this conversation to really get at the heart of what it is that you need, either just this week or overall? I thought for sure you were all gonna like chime in, and I mean, with Sarah. Oh, go ahead, Ann. I see. Oh, I don't know if it's lighting up because you're laughing, or if you have something. I mean, I feel like those are some of the reasons. Is what I just identified. Sarah, you're on mute. If you, yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I was just going to say it's a huge question. And honestly, if there's a fear component in everyone's vision, it's probably, you know, tacks onto all of those. It's a fear of failure. It's a fear of acceptance. It's a fear of, I don't know, losing yourself to something greater and bigger even. Like that can be scary. There's I don't know that I could say for me there's any one particular fear that feels overwhelming. I don't even necessarily I don't know. I don't recognize it as fear so much as it's just like, well, this is what it is. Like it's either we do it or we don't do it. Well, shoot the shit. Okay, let's go. I don't know. I don't know that I've really sat down and tried to identify what the one predominant fear for me is, or if I feel like there's something holding me back, what it is that I feel like is holding me back.
It sounds like though you're embracing that, like what Carlin said, you're not recognizing as an icky thing, you're embracing it, you know that it's maybe your body or your heart or your mind telling you something. So
and my, like from what you said when we first started talking, you were just saying we don't know if we're going to do this, we don't know if we're going to do this. I think once you make a decision and rule out all the what ifs and you and your husband just decide and it's going to flow, and like so much is going to just go like this. You just have to you have to decide what it is you want.
So Carolyn, you just cleared it all up for me. It's the fear of commitment.
Commitment.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. You're not sure.
Because a child is like the biggest commitment. Once you decide to do that, you cannot take it back.
You cannot take it back. But if you are meant to be a mom, you're going to be the best mom, you know, and you have to just give yourself permission. There is no such thing as the best mom. I mean, I have so many friends because I don't have kids. I'm the receiver of all my friends' stories. And some of them make me not want to have kids. Like it's crazy, you know, like I'm just being honest. Like I get some stories where I'm like, really? Yeah. So, but it's like the most beautiful thing. And it sounds like the most beautiful thing and the hardest thing in the world, you know? And commitment. But you know what? You'll do it. You'll do it, and you'll do it great, and you're not by yourself.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I think once you decide what you want, I mean, I know, I know, like you can ask Sarah. She just went through a decision process with me about whether I was going to Guatemala or not. I'll just tell you this story real quick. I knew back in January not to go. I was supposed to participate and work on this retreat. And I started getting these feelings like, don't go. And I'm like, but how do you not go to Guatemala and work on a retreat? Like I start justifying and trying to talk myself out of my intuitive hunch, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I actually agreed to go. Plane ticket was bought. And that's when like the heat around my neck started, and like literally it felt like my body was on fire. And I was like, oh my gosh, I am getting every sign not to go. Like literally with 48 hours, actually one of my friends ended up passing away and I had a funeral to go to, but it was this crazy thing. And I ended up having to cancel my flight. Do you know that volcano erupted 2 hours before my flight would have been leaving Guatemala?
Mm.
We are actually being guided so often, and we just don't. It's scary to listen. It's scary when we realize we either know or we don't know, and we don't want it to be or we do want it to be. And if your body is telling you to have a baby, then or not have a baby,
like,
whatever.
Let society tell us.
Just
like,
honor.
Really,
maybe it's journaling. Maybe it's really talking it out. Maybe it's going, what am I really feeling around this? Because there isn't a right or wrong answer. It's what are you feeling around it?
Sure.
Carlin, for Anne and Melissa, who are sort of at that phase of like either relaunching or rebranding or starting the business, you know, I know you had said what if and why not. Can we kind of talk about, you know, how they can feel confident, what little
You're
steps?
either my mother or you're my father. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
My mother's the what if, my father's the why not. I'm a product of both. And when I talk about what if, I mean, we can say what if till the cows come home, but and I get it. These are all potential scenarios. Like we are basically, we have to be very careful about the what ifs that we voice and focus on, because we are very powerful manifestors more than we realize. And sometimes when we're focusing on what we don't want to happen in this what if space, we could, for all we know, be energetically contributing it to something else happening outside of what we really want to happen, if that makes sense. So there's always going to be what ifs. I mean, I could walk outside and, I mean, we know that. That's not rocket science. But there's, the what ifs to me are kind of like this trying versus allowing. Like if you're trying to make something work, you're going to feel a feeling inside of you, that square peg through round hole, that like forcing feeling. It's not as much flow. It feels like work. That to me, if you're having to make something work, that is something more to be aware of than what potentially could happen out here. But you'll recognize, like, it's not that we don't need to work, but you know, things sometimes show up with more ease than others things do. And the ease, I think, it makes you go, I don't know where this is going, but man, that was really easy. So I'm just going to go with this. And we know that feeling, you know? So I think if we can focus on what is showing up and working for us, first, what isn't, first of all, and then think about the what ifs. And if you're someone that is more visual, you know, write them down and go and make sure you're voicing them. Because if the what ifs are bouncing in here,
yeah,
it's really hard to gain a different perspective on them, you know, because your what if could be something that someone else could help you solve. Like it could be, well, what if I don't have enough chairs for the event? Oh, I have 50 chairs at my house. Oh, okay. Well, that what if is solved. Like I just made that up. So just these little.
That's real life. Like
but that's real life.
Like on things that we have no business noodling on. And I think it's a woman thing. I hate to say it, but men just friggin' make decisions and women don't.
Right. Well, and you know, so much of Strangers to Friends is from where it was birthed in me is this, you know, my tagline is people equal possibilities. Like, who are we to judge anybody or anything on who or what they are or what they can or cannot be, right? Like, who are we to put limitations around anybody or anything? We wouldn't do that to our children. Why are we doing it to ourselves? We empower everybody around us. We tell everybody, you can do this. I support you. You know, and sometimes it's this reminder of, okay, this is the self-love piece that we often sometimes forget about, that we need to flip that back on ourselves. And this is me right now having a conversation with myself, saying all this to you, because this is my own medicine that I have to remind myself of at times as well. But it's like, you've got this.
You've got this.
You just got to trust yourself.
So I want to summarize some of the things you said, and then I'm going to ask the group a question and we'll be done. So you had said trying versus allowing. I just want to have some takeaways from this conversation. So trying versus allowing, having that commitment. You had said, Sarah, you know, fear of commitment. I think a lot of us have that as well, right? Whether it's like, once I put this out there, right? So sit with it. What is this feeling for you? Assessing those feelings. What kind of fear is it? Is it the like fight or flight fear? Is it emotional fear? You know, following up and having these plans, forcing versus allowing, another one, trying, forcing versus allowing. Seasons. I wrote seasons of parenting because that had to do with what Melissa was saying, but I really embrace seasons. I think that that's going to be, I think if you look at your life in terms of seasons, to know this may be my season of struggle, or this is going to be my season of success, whatever, it doesn't feel so impossible. Getting out of your head, connecting to your heart, enough, whether it's 10 minutes or a day break, but having that time for yourself to kind of get out. I really am going to actually try that, because I think that's a great idea. Our minds are constantly noodling on all the things we have to do or our stresses, but if we just take 10 minutes to pause, we'll actually be more revived.
And I just want to say one more thing. Your fears are worthy. Like, you are worthy of your fears. It's not like there's no criticizing in having fears. Fears, when I say use fear as fuel, like, it's not, we have to have fears. If we didn't have fears, we would never be inspired to do anything, right? Like, a fear is a natural part of growth, you know? And I think, like, you know, with so many, you know, I just lost a friend who took his life recently, and there's just a lot going on. And I think what scares me for people is people are internalizing these fears and making them such a negative. And we have to remind ourselves that as human beings, we are designed to function as tribes. We are designed to function as support systems. And so your fear isn't something to be ashamed of. Your fear is something to embrace and go, I mean, okay, fear, here we are. What are we going to do about this? Like, who wants to win? Like it's almost like personifying your fear. One of my greatest teachers identified fear as fuck everything and run, or face everything and recover. And I really kind of think it is kind of those two things, you know, like.
Say that again so we can make sure we get that. Fuck everything and run.
Fuck everything and run, or face everything and recover. Because you're going to recover. I mean, think about everything. Every time we've ever failed, I have a laundry list of ways I failed or made mistakes, or, you know, even followed my heart and it didn't go the way I thought it would. And I'm like, I hit a roadblock. There's still the detour presented itself. Like the way it was meant to be. Like it ends up working out. We're not laying in ditches somewhere, right? Like somehow it comes together. It's just, we have no idea what that looks like. So it's not being ashamed of fear. It's just going, I mean, yeah, I think that's what just hit me, is like not being ashamed of fear, and just address and just saying, I'm glad I have some fear. I have something to grow from now.
You know, and it's mindset, which Hathaway will be talking about next week, of having a limited mindset versus oh God, I forget now. This is ridiculous. I read a whole book about it, but there's two sets of thinking. It's almost like positive and negative thinking. Sarah, I can see you as having a unlimited mindset, because you seem to be the face and recover kind of strategy. So in identifying your mindset, you can, if you happen to be the other side, there's tips and tricks for how to try to adjust that, because it honestly impacts every decision that you make, how you approach problems. But one thing that really resonated with me is thinking about, don't be like, oh, everything is great, and then when there's a problem, oh no, and like, what am I going to do? That's exhausting. Up, down, up, down, up, down. So rather, there was a book I was reading saying, get excited for the next problem. And don't see it as a problem, see it as an opportunity of how you're going to problem solve, right? Because those things are going to happen. So I'm desperately trying to shift my mindset with this, because I do try to avoid problems, and when things go wrong, or when I mess up, or fear and all these things, trying new things. And it's like, well, that's going to happen for the rest of my life. So the only thing I can do is change how I approach that. Right. So I'm trying to do that, to say, awesome, like just got, you know, I mean, awesome is, you know, maybe one day I get to the awesome, you know, and thinking of a problem, but it's like, great, I have all the skills I need to tackle this. This doesn't need to be so big. I can rely on other people. I can write it down. I can take a walk. I have all these tools. And one last thing to chime in from my experience is also ask yourself, when has it not worked out? And maybe that's naive. Maybe there's been times in our lives where like, but for me, no matter how bad I thought it got, it always did end up working out. And I can see the reason. And so knowing that I'm not going to be homeless, oh my God, I can't find a place to live, or, you know, even when my grandmother passed, like, holy shit, how am I even going to get through the next day? She's what drives everything in my life. And so it may have taken me 5 years to not bawl, but I'm here now. And so